Let me give it just a few moments. I'm just going to share it if that's all right on LinkedIn. One second.
Anya, you want to, he's going to share it. Do you want to also share it from Native Pet?
Is it going to be on like consumer?
LinkedIn.
Yeah, we have a couple people asking where's the link. So we're just for those that are tuning in, we're just going to share the link real quick and then we'll get started. One second. All right. Hold on, it just needs to pop up here. Here we go. There's the link. Great. Share. Cool. Just shared the link. Awesome. Okay, great. I think we can get started. Dan, thanks so much for joining me and everyone here. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So great that you're here. We actually have a first question from Ray with your critical question. What is your favorite pet?
As in like my favorite type of pet or the favorite pet that I own, which I won't answer, but I'm a huge dog guy, although I grew up in a pet crazy house. So like we had dogs, cats, fish, birds. Like we had the whole 9 yards. At one point we even had a koi pond in our basement, which didn't go over very well. So I grew up with tons of pets. Today, I adopted a dog named Louie, and so he's my only pet today. So he ipso facto is my favorite.
That's awesome. I actually also, because Louie, I remember reading Louie's a black Labrador. Is that right? Or Labrador?
He's a Labrador. He's a yellow lab.
Okay, cool. I have a black lab. His name is Finn. So definitely share my affection when it comes to Labradors and dogs.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome.
He
played a big role in the inspiration for Native Pet, for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Let's talk about Native Pet. So tell me a little bit behind the origin story and what made you, think about starting a pet company.
Yeah, so it's a great story. And I'll just start by saying, my co-founder is a guy named Pat Barron, and he and I grew up together and are super close friends. We even worked together in Chicago back in the day. And it's been a long time dream for us to run a business together, at least since we were adults. We've talked about doing something entrepreneurial. And so Native Pet, doing it with Pat has really in some ways been a dream come true, even at our early stage. We've just had so much fun running the business. And so Native Pet, just first a little bit about Native Pet. We talk about ourselves as no nonsense nutrition. And so Native Pet makes supplements, toppers, and other food forward nutritional products that are designed to make a meaningful impact on the health and wellness of your pet. And so, we're kind of operating outside of kibble and supplements and toppers and products of that nature. But it's all around like, how can we use food as medicine, and how can we use natural ingredients to make those like incredible health outcomes? And, the story kind of has like very humble beginnings, and I think probably very typical beginnings for consumer products or for pet. And it all started, way back in the day. I was in business school. We adopted our dog Louie and became a consumer of the products. And I think just from a high level, the first thing is like, you don't realize how much you can love a pet until you have one in your house and you're taking care of it. I mean, I'm the millennial cliche is of like, that your dog is your first baby. Like that's literally what happened for us, was as cliche as it is to say. I now have actual kids, that memory, that emotion is so strong, right? So I think the first eye-opening thing is you look across the pet industry, the mismatch between what gets advertised and then what is actually on the ingredient deck just really stood out to us. And then I think we had an experience with Louis. You have a lab, you'll appreciate this, where he just ate everything, like the trash, his leash, frisbees, whatever. And so we were constantly having like semi-serious health issues where we need to go talk to a vet. And when we go talk to a vet, rather than having some expensive treatment or some invasive treatment, the first thing the vet would always say is, have you fed Louis pumpkin? Sometimes that natural remedy can help work it out. And every time we'd feed Louis a can of pumpkin, and all of a sudden he'd be feeling better. And so from there, like the two takeaways are like, there's too many ingredients in a lot of pet products today. And then also like natural, simple remedies can be so powerful if they're harnessed appropriately. And that was kind of the genesis of the business. After school, I went to work for a strategy consulting firm, and I just happened to end up in the product innovation group, not by design at all. And so this idea of, pet products just kept seeding, and I kept getting more and more relevant experience. And then one day I called Pat. It's like, I don't know what this looks like. Here's kind of the thesis. I don't know. Like Pat's the entrepreneur of the two of us for sure. And Pat was like, I love it. I'm in. And like basically like the next day, Pat was off and running, and that's how Native Pet was born. And the business looks a lot different today. We've grown, but that's kind of like where it all started. And we look back on those days with very fond memories.
I love that. And first of all, I can very much sympathize or very much relate in terms of how much, when you do have a dog or do have a pet, how much it can first of all transform your life and take over, and how it is your first child, so to speak. So yeah, and that's super cool how you how you started the company. I'd say, what was maybe one of the biggest hurdles when you decided? It seemed like you kind of had that call, and you both went all in on this. What was that decision like? Just and what were maybe some of like the big hurdles that you had to overcome?
Yeah, I think a lot to unpack there. I mean, I think there's a lot of big hurdles in terms of like emotionally, like settling into, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Like I'm ready to go all in. Pat and I both long background in finance and consulting, and we had, you build a career, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to stop and I'm going to sell pet nutrition products. Right. And like getting over that hurdle of like, am I crazy? Like, is this wild? Like, is this the right call? Like as an entrepreneur, like that's a big hurdle. And I got to thank Pat for that. Like Pat is such an inspired person. So like when he gets into something, like that passion is like fervent and you can feel it. And it helped me get across the line of like, okay, like this is the right call. And then I think from like what changed is when you make a product and then you give it to somebody and they love it, like genuinely love it, and then people start buying it. Like those early moments of that, like very early customer adoption were so inspiring to both of us that like, okay, we have something here. Like this is going to make a difference in people's lives. This is a potential business that could like unlock a different side of the business world that Pat and I had wanted for a long time. After we got that customer feedback, it was like, we were all in, we were ready to go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I would say, what's your why, would you say? Or why, or how has your why evolved over these past, few years?
Yeah, I think, I'll answer that in two ways. I think there's the, why pet, and like, why does it mean so much to us to do what we're doing from our product side? And then there's kind of the entrepreneurship side of this. And I think those are both equally as important when you're looking at the business, right? On the pet side, I think, we're both dog lovers, both animal lovers. And I think if 2020 and quarantine has taught us anything that we didn't already know, I think pets and dogs and cats and are so important to our lives and our mental and psychological health. And they're really part of our family. And so being able to make products that genuinely help their experience here on earth, if you will, and make them feel better, help extend their life, help ease their pain, help improve their mobility, whatever it might be, I think it's just such a noble mission. And I think when we found a way that we were like, hey, we're doing something fundamentally different and better than what's out there today, and that's going to make a meaningful impact on the lives of our customers as in humans and our consumers, which are the dogs or and sometimes cats, it was like, wow, what a powerful way to spend your time, right? And so I think from the why native pet, why pet products, I think this year was just an amazing reminder of why we did this in the first place.
I could totally see that and very much relate to that as well. Because I mean, ever since I got a dog, I don't think I've walked more in my life is on a daily basis, and actually just been, very active, just getting out. So
I mean, so many people told us that like their Christmas was spent with their dog, right, or their cat, because they couldn't go with their family, and it's like that is a great encapsulation of like where we are in society today and how important it is to have companionship in certain moments in like a digital world and a pandemic world. And so, I think it gets down to that core relationship with our pets. And this year, I think really highlighted the importance of pets in our lives.
Totally agree. Well, Dan, thanks so much for coming on the show. What's your why? And people and everyone should go check out, if you have a pet, nativepet.com, right?
Nativepet.com. You can also find us on Amazon. The website's great. We just redid the website, redid the brand, so we'd love for you to check it out.
Awesome. So certainly check that out. I'll also post about it as well. But Dan, thanks again for your time. This has been a lot of fun.
This is great, man. This is really cool. Thanks for looping me in. I would love to connect with anybody who's out there listening, and thanks for the opportunity to share more about our story.
Love it. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Awesome.